Hi, thanks for joining me for another video. Today I want to show you how I make some garlic cheese bites. My grandson loves these cheese bites. They're from one of the local pizzerias, and they generally use Parmesan, which I found out I'm fresh out of Parmesan. So usually we have a ton of Parmesan cheese and I have zero. So these are yeast rolls, and I just made a few because my husband wanted yeast rolls and he doesn't do that much bread, so 4 is great for him. Set that to the side and I'll show you what I've done. So I took the rest of the yeast rolls and I just cut them in a Mod Podge of sizes, some bigger than others, won't matter. These are finger foods, so I sprinkled a generous amount. Alright, so I'm being lazy too, so of course I didn't make the dough. These were already prepared balls of yeast rolls, so instead of baking them all, I'm going to do this. I just line this pizza pan with a piece of aluminum foil, the shiny side down. I sprinkled the surface with some garlic, and then I sprinkled garlic on top. I've preheated the oven. Well, the oven was preheated to 350, and then I baked the yeast rolls. They turned out just like I would want them. And now I have a lot of garlic that's here and there. I'm just going to get the garlic to go on to here. Generally what I do when I make pizza, and I will make the pizza from scratch, but what I generally do is you want to dust your surface with cornmeal, similar to that, as you can see there. And what it does is it keeps the pizza from sticking. So all I'm doing here is just taking up the slack. I don't want the garlic to just sit on this surface in the oven and burn, because that's what it will do. And also I'm giving since I cut them, now what I did with the rolls, they were just little round balls. I brought them to room temperature so they started rising again, and then I stretched them out and made them like an oblong shape, and then I cut them. So that's how I got them like that. I didn't want them really thick and puffy. Since they will puff up, I didn't want them really big. So cutting them up like this will work just fine. Now I have a generous amount of garlic on them because that's what you want to taste, is the garlic. So I wanted to make sure I had enough garlic on them. And you generally use butter. I'm going to use this spray-on olive oil and just put just a little on them, not much. I don't want much on it. I like the taste of butter. So it's on there. It has, you can see it on some of them, and some of them you can't because it's a lot of garlic on there. So I don't have any Parmesan cheese. I'm going to use this Gouda cheese. It says Gouda. I just cut back the waxy film that's on both ends, as you can see, and then I'm just going to put a generous amount of cheese on them. Now this is one reason why you put them close together, so you don't waste all your cheese and garlic. Now if you have fresh Parmesan cheese, it would look the same way as this does. So you can get fresh Parmesan cheese, which is really delicious. I don't have any on hand, and I'm going to use what I have. I don't want to use mozzarella cheese, so if I do it on the long end, it's going to make long shreds. If I do it just on the corners, it'll make little small pieces that will just fit nicely onto these. And yes, I'm adding a little extra cheese. Who doesn't? If you love cheese, you love cheese. And so you don't mind a little extra. Since it's flaking all over the place, I'm just making sure I have it on everything. Some will have more than others. Some will have less than others, but we want to give each a chance to have some. And when you do these yourself, you can put extra on them if you like. If you have Parmesan cheese, go for it. Fresh or otherwise. You can get it straight out of the shaker, which you generally can find that somewhere. I'm going to pile a little right here. And I'm going across this way because it's going to give me short pieces. So what that did was pile some here, and then I can make sure, gather it up here, make sure it's on everything. It's all in between. And if you like, you can go back in, and I'll get it in a second, and sprinkle a little more garlic on there. Some of these on the end they don't look like they have any garlic, any cheese on them, because I guess they're at the edge. So going through there, puts it on the edge. And there you have it. A nice generous amount. Of cheese. Cheese traps everything. When you're making pizza, you put your cheese down before you put your meat down, and all I'm doing now is just putting a little more garlic. Just loosely applying the garlic. Because what happens is sometimes it really doesn't taste like it's enough garlic in there. Alright, to the oven these go. Okay, so we're back. Sorry, I'm tasting them and they really taste great. I had to zhuzh it up a little bit because the Gouda cheese doesn't have a robust flavor. It's very subtle. And my family loves cheese flavors, so I had to add a little more cheese. What I did was I added a little mozzarella, really Italian cheese blend, which has about 4 different cheeses in there. Which, the better way to do these breadsticks bites would be to lay your bread down first, bake it for about 8 minutes, and then come in, add your garlic, add your cheeses to it. And that way you're only putting it back in there for about 2 to 3 more minutes. That gives you that nice store-bought consistency to it without some of the edges is super soft. But if you want to fool your family, it'll work that way. Otherwise, when they see this big pan, they're not going to care. But the cheese, the Gouda cheese, is very subtle again. So it doesn't give you that nice cheesy flavor that you can actually substitute for the Parmesan cheese. So just remember that. You can add a mixture of cheeses, like some cheddar cheese to it. I wouldn't suggest the American cheese, but the cheddar cheese would do it. A mozzarella or Italian cheese blend would do it. And so I just sit it back in the oven for about 2 minutes, and really turn the oven off. I have some cheeses that don't look like they're quite melted, which will work really fine. So when they come, I can reheat this and the cheese will go ahead and melt. So I prepared these ahead of time. If you're preparing them at the time of the meal and you're going to take them piping hot out the oven and serve them, then you can do it right up until the time that, bake them right up until the time that you're going to serve them. However, I'm going to reheat these, and in reheating them, I don't want all of the cheese to run off, and I don't want them to burn. So, okay, enjoy this little treat. A quick and easy way to do some garlic bites. Until next time, thank you for joining me.